Hi dear students, today we will be seeing arterial supply of upper limb. So when we see the arterial supply of upper limb, we have to consider some arteries here. The arteries here are the subclavian artery continuing in the upper limb. Subclavian artery passes below the clavicle into the axillary region, forming axillary artery or continuing as the axillary artery. In the arm as brachial artery, it continues up to the forearm where it divides into radial and ulnar arteries. They reach the wrist region forming superficial and deep palmar arch. Branches arises from this and supplies the hand region. So the artery that is supplying the upper limb is the subclavian artery, the continuation of the subclavian artery. So axillary artery is a continuation of subclavian artery beyond the lateral border of first rib, and it extends up to the lower border of teres major muscle. From that area it continues as brachial artery. So subclavian artery continuing as axillary artery in the axilla. Axilla is the armpit region, then it continues as brachial artery. Parts of axillary artery: a muscle called pectoralis minor that crosses the artery in front and dividing it into three parts. First part is proximal to the muscle, or you can say from the lateral border of the extension of this artery. First part is from the lateral border of first rib up to the upper border of pectoralis minor. So this is the extent of first part of axillary artery. Second part is lying deep to pectoralis minor, and third part is distal to pectoralis minor, extending from the lower border of pectoralis minor up to the lower border of teres major. Third part. So first part, that is proximal to the pectoralis minor. Second part is deep to pectoralis minor muscle. Third part is distal to pectoralis minor muscle up to the lower border of teres major muscle. First part, second part, third part of the artery. Branches of these arteries: first part, artery gives a single branch. So here first part gives one branch, second part gives two branches, third part gives three branches. Easy to remember the number. The first part gives superior thoracic artery. Superior thoracic artery is given by the first part. The first part here, second part is deep to pectoralis minor, and third part is here. So first part give superior thoracic artery. Second part gives rise to thoracoacromial artery, lateral thoracic artery, lateral thoracic artery. The third part give rise to subscapular artery, anterior circumflex humeral artery, posterior circumflex humeral artery. Anterior and posterior circumflex humeral artery will wind around the upper end of the humerus. Now let's see the branches of subscapular artery. Subscapular artery is a branch of third part of axillary artery. Subscapular artery, this one is a dorsal aspect, posterior aspect. The subclavian artery continuing as the axillary artery, and it is continuing as the brachial artery. Now here the third part of axillary artery giving rise to subscapular artery. Subscapular artery gives a branch called circumflex scapular artery. Circumflex scapular artery is larger than the continuation of main artery. Yeah, in fact, subscapular artery continues downwards, but the circumflex artery is bigger than this continuation. It winds around lateral border of scapula. And other branch, there is a continuation of subscapular artery after giving rise to circumflex scapular is thoracodorsal artery. Now the continuation of axillary artery beyond the teres major muscle is called brachial artery, which is present in the arm. Brachial artery begins at the lower border of teres major muscle as a continuation of axillary artery, terminating opposite to the neck of the radius in the cubital fossa by dividing it into radial and ulnar arteries. So the brachial artery continuing up to the neck of the radius. Radius is the lateral bone of the forearm. So there it divides into two arteries, radial and ulnar. Radial lies laterally, ulnar lies medially. Now let's see branches of brachial artery. Muscular branches that is given to the nearby muscles. Nutrient artery to the humerus. So that pierces the bone and enters in the medullary cavity. Nutrient artery can be seen here passing through the nutrient foramen. Profunda brachii artery is one of the deep branch of the brachial artery that will accompany radial nerve. Superior ulnar collateral branch that accompanies ulnar nerve. Superior ulnar collateral branch. Inferior ulnar collateral branch. Now terminal branches are radial artery and ulnar artery. So these are the different branches of the brachial artery. So muscular branches are given. Nutrient artery, profunda brachii is a deep branch that accompanies radial nerve, and superior ulnar collateral that is accompanying ulnar nerve that goes behind the medial epicondyle along with ulnar nerve. Inferior ulnar collateral that goes in front of medial epicondyle, and radial and ulnar arteries. The profunda brachii artery. Profunda brachii artery is a deep branch of the brachial artery. So it is given off at this level, profunda brachii, passing behind the humerus and comes to the lateral aspect of the humerus. So it's a deep branch. Profunda means deep, and it is large branch of brachial artery, and it originates just below the teres major muscle. So you can say at the beginning of the brachial artery, the profunda brachii arises. Termination, it divides into two terminal branches as it pierces lateral intermuscular septum in the arm and accompany radial nerve. So it follows the radial nerve, or radial nerve is going to accompany the profunda brachii, and it passes. Initially it is in the posterior aspect of the arm. Then it pierces lateral intermuscular septum of the arm and come to the anterior compartment. There it giving rise to branches. Branches can be seen here. Two branches. Radial artery. So we have seen the brachial artery divides into radial and ulnar arteries. So radial artery is a smaller terminal branch of brachial artery given at the neck of radius. So it's given at the neck of the radius. And passes below brachioradialis muscle. That passes deep to the muscle brachioradialis. This muscle is brachioradialis. So somewhere here the radial artery passes. Here. This area. The brachial artery divides into radial and ulnar artery, and the radial artery lies below brachioradialis muscle. Radial pulse is felt against styloid process of radius. In the hand or in the wrist region, we can feel the radial pulsations just anterior to the styloid process of radius. It leaves the forearm by turning posteriorly to enter the anatomical snuff box. So from here, this point, it goes to the posterior aspect of the hand and it enters the anatomical snuff box of the hand. So it goes posteriorly and it continues in the hand as deep palmar arch. Even though it goes posteriorly, it again comes back onto the anterior aspect of the hand, and that is called deep palmar arch. You can see clearly that the artery goes into the posterior aspect and comes back again and continuing as deep palmar arch. Again, this diagram showing the same picture, the radial artery going back and coming into the anterior aspect as deep palmar arch. Now ulnar artery, so brachial artery dividing into radial and ulnar artery. Ulnar artery is a larger terminal branch of brachial artery, originating begins in the cubital fossa. So cubital fossa is a shallow fossa, a shallow area that is present in the or in front of the elbow joint. So the division of brachial artery occurs in the cubital fossa, and the ulnar artery descends through the anterior compartment of forearm. So the ulnar artery is going to be in the anterior compartment of the forearm. The radial artery also lies in the anterior compartment of the forearm, but when it reaches the wrist area, it passes posteriorly, whereas ulnar artery is going to remain almost in the anterior compartment. Now termination, it ends by forming superficial palmar arch with superficial palmar branch of radial artery. Now ulnar artery, it reaches the wrist region, it forms or it goes to the hand and it forms superficial palmar arch along with an artery that is coming from radial artery. Radial artery, I said, it goes to the posterior aspect. Before it goes to the posterior aspect, it gives a branch. Okay, and this is called the superficial palmar branch of the radial artery. This will reach the anterior aspect of the hand. Now at the same time, the ulnar artery, the main ulnar artery that continues in the hand, and both of them unite and they form superficial palmar arch. Let's see the formation of the deep palmar arch. So the radial artery and the ulnar artery, both of them reaches the anterior aspect of the wrist. Radial artery, the main radial artery that goes onto the posterior aspect when it is reaching the wrist region, and that lies in the posterior aspect, but again that comes onto the anterior aspect of the hand, and that is the one which is going to form, or that is the one which is going to give the main contribution for the formation of deep palmar arch. Now this continuation of the radial artery, the main radial artery, that goes to the medial aspect and it is joined by the deep palmar branch of ulnar artery, and both of them together contributes the deep palmar arch. Whereas the radial artery, before going to the posterior aspect, it gives a branch, and that is superficial palmar branch that reaches the anterior aspect of the hand, and that joins with the main ulnar artery to form superficial palmar arch. So we have discussed two arches. So deep palmar arch, from the lateral side, it is a direct continuation of the radial artery. From the medial side, the arch on the medial side is completed by the deep palmar branch of ulnar artery. The main ulnar artery forms the superficial palmar arch, joining with the superficial palmar branch of radial artery, whereas the main radial artery forming the deep palmar arch joining with the deep palmar branch of ulnar artery. So another diagram where the superficial palmar arch and the deep palmar arch can be seen. Superficial palmar arch formation from the medial side, that is the direct continuation of the ulnar artery, whereas on the lateral side it is completed by the superficial palmar branch of the radial artery, the main radial artery that goes onto the posterior aspect and later appears by passing between the two metacarpals and reaching the anterior aspect, and contributes for the formation of deep palmar arch along with the deep palmar branch of ulnar artery. Now let's see the venous drainage of the upper limb. So if you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe the channel so you don't miss any videos. So these are the veins that can be seen in the upper limb, which can be divided into a superficial veins and deep veins. Superficial veins are seen superficially, that is in the superficial fascia, whereas deep veins are usually accompanying the arteries, the deeper arteries. So here the superficial veins are the cephalic vein, the basilic vein, and there are some other veins like median vein of forearm, dorsal venous arch, whereas the deep veins are the veins which are accompanying the brachial artery, the radial artery, ulnar artery, and the veins which are accompanying the superficial palmar arch and the deep palmar arch. So in general, superficial veins, most of the superficial veins join to form two large veins, and they are the cephalic and the basilic vein. Cephalic vein is lying laterally and the basilic vein is lying medially. Cephalic vein is called the preaxial vein and basilic vein is called the postaxial vein. Comparing to the length of cephalic and the basilic vein is longer than the basilic vein and it is draining to axillary vein. So the cephalic vein has a long course and that ultimately drain into the axillary vein. Axillary vein is a deeper vein in the axilla. Let's see the origin of these superficial veins. So the superficial veins begins as the dorsal venous arch. Dorsal venous arch is a venous arch which is seen in the dorsum of the hand in the superficial fascia. It is formed by some afferents. There are three dorsal metacarpal veins, 1, 2, 3, and in addition to that, one dorsal digital vein from the lateral side of index finger and two dorsal vein of the thumb and one dorsal digital vein from the medial side of little finger. So all together it forms the dorsal venous arch. So these are the tributaries of the dorsal venous arch and that they form the dorsal venous arch. Now the efferents of the dorsal venous arch are cephalic vein on the lateral aspect, basilic vein on the medial aspect. In fact, these arch continues on the lateral side as cephalic vein and medial side as basilic vein. Cephalic vein is preaxial vein, which is homologous to great saphenous vein of the lower limb, begins as the lateral end of the dorsal venous arch, ascends superficial to anatomical snuff box. So it is lying in the area of anatomical snuff box, and at the elbow most of the blood that is in the cephalic vein, the cephalic vein is here, so that will be diverted into the basilic vein through median cubital vein. Median cubital vein is a connection between cephalic and the basilic vein. So the blood from the cephalic vein, most of them that goes to the basilic vein through this vein, and partly into the deep veins through perforator veins. There are some perforators which are connecting the median cubital vein to the deeper veins which are seen on the deeper aspect, deep to the deep fascia. So they are called the perforators. So there are some perforators which pierces the bicipital aponeurosis in this area and connect to the deeper veins. So again, the median cubital vein can be seen, the cephalic vein and the basilic vein connected through median cubital vein. And cephalic vein is homologous to this vein here, and this is great saphenous vein in the lower limb. So it is homologous to that. And the cephalic vein at last drains into the axillary vein. The basilic vein is a postaxial vein which is homologous to the short saphenous vein of the lower limb, which is small and begins as the medial end of the dorsal venous arch and course at the elbow, which is around 2.5 cm above the medial epicondyle of the humerus. Median cubital vein joins the basilic vein. So median cubital vein, again it is connecting the cephalic vein with the basilic vein. So cephalic vein, basilic vein connected by median cubital vein. Now median cubital vein is a large communicating vein that we have already seen, which is connecting the cephalic and the basilic vein. It shunts blood from the cephalic to basilic vein. So it is diverting the blood from cephalic vein to the basilic vein and begins from the cephalic vein 2.5 cm below the bend of elbow. So it starts 2.5 cm below the elbow and direction obliquely and medially placed, ends in the basilic vein. And tributaries are median vein of forearm. This is my vein which is seen in the center of the forearm, that is median vein of forearm. And connections are, it is connected to the deep veins through perforators which pierces bicipital aponeurosis. So there are perforators. Perforators are connecting the superficial and deep veins. Here the superficial vein is median cubital vein. So that has perforator which pierces bicipital aponeurosis, which is placed over here, which is an extension from the biceps brachii muscle, and it connected to the deep veins. Now median cubital vein is the vein of choice for intravenous injections. Median cubital vein used to withdrawal blood from donors and in cardiac catheterization. So this is used for all these sort of clinical aspects, clinical usage. That's because the median cubital vein is almost stable, because I said before that it has got perforators. This perforators which pierces the bicipital aponeurosis and connected to the deep veins. So those perforators makes this vein stable while performing these clinical applications. So it's fixed by perforator, that is the reason, and doesn't slip away during piercing. So that's the reason why it is chosen. And cardiac catheterization is a method where the catheter is passed through the femoral artery, and that reaches the abdominal aorta, and that reaches the arch of aorta and the ascending aorta. So this is used for different purposes. Mainly it is used for coronary angiography. Deep veins. So deep veins are the veins which are placed on a deeper aspect. So they are small venae committents that ultimately forms the venae committents of the radial and ulnar arteries. So they begin in the superficial and deep palmar arch. They are the arteries, and they slowly accompany the radial artery and the ulnar artery. So there will be two veins for this artery. So radial artery will be accompanied by two veins, and they are called as vena committents. Similarly, ulnar artery will be accompanied by two veins. Now vena committents of radial and ulnar artery joins to form the brachial vein. So that will accompany the brachial artery. So they lie on either side of the brachial artery, and they forms the last axillary vein. So brachial vein also joins with the basilic vein, and together it is going to form the axillary vein, or it continues as the axillary vein.